I'm gonna try and fix the issue where we are not getting any items for equipment. Okay, because technically here we should have the equipment, we should have the set, because we do assign an item. For example, if I go on my items, in my cloth items, let's say samurai body, you know what, I'm going to delete the helmet and legs, just keep this one. So if I go into this, I do use one of these things. So if I hit play, one of the meshes, okay, we get an error. Let's check what the error is. Well, first of all, the error is that we need to clear up all our resources manager. We need to clear all of that. Now, just to avoid having to do this over time, on init, we're going to do objects, resources dot load all. I think it's load all inside items, type of item. Then for each object O in objects, let's make this a list. Don't need to set that up as new. Let's do this needs to be count. All items that add item O. Now we should check if O is item first, just to be safe. Okay, then first of all we should be clearing that as well. Okay, so what that means is if I go on my resources folder and create a folder called items, and just drop any items we want to be using over there. So inside resources, create new folder called items, and I'm going to take this. We have our consumables. We only want the items as assets, the ones we are creating as scriptable objects. The rest can be used without it. Okay, so this now can be item prefabs. Okay, save that, hit play. Okay, so let's check what samurai body is null for. Samurai body is null because we are trying to, oh yeah, we're getting the references from static close. We get the runtime item from ID. That's the runtime item, which means on the static close we actually need to be making those runtime items. So we will say, let's see, I think down here, yeah, we're going to be creating the item instance. Over here, item instance, this returns a random item. We need to be passing the resource manager and the resources ID, and then savable string ID of the item. I think we're already doing this for something, but yeah, we're doing this for the consumables. So let's copy what we're doing for that again. As you see here, we create an item instance. So basically we just need this, or is it item is consumable? Yeah, that gets the item. Okay, then the runtime item is the new runtime item name. Okay, then because we could have more, we could have we could have, let's see, well, first of all, let's delete that. We are going to create an item instance, then allow item and row. Now that should be correct, but what, first of all, this needs to be done in here, starting clothes, like so. Let's see, and yeah, you can see that now I can basically just change clothes. Let's see what happens. However, as you can see, we have now an issue that there's no model prefab we create from the cloth item. We don't actually have a model prefab. We can, of course, however, just drag and drop any object we want in here on the model prefab and it will fix that. But it's not really, yeah, we don't really want to do that. We already have a mesh and a material, which means on the eye icon, let's try and get the object for icon. Let's try and override that in our cloth. Let's see if I set this to virtual. Yeah, if I set this to virtual, I can override it. I can override this. Perfect. So on my cloth item, I'll do a public override, get object for icon. So we're going to create a new game object, first of all, where we're going to add component of a mesh renderer, and can we add, I think we also need to add the mesh filter. So mesh, that will be the mesh we have above, then on the render that will be our material, and then return, we'll just do the new game object. We'll just return that. Perfect, save it. Let's hit play. We of course need to create the icon position, icon rotation as well. Yeah, no, we now have them. It just doesn't, they just don't show. So let's try and recreate those steps so we find the correct icon position, which means we need to go on the icon maker, on the prefab, open that up, we have our spawn position, create an empty, add a mesh filter, add a mesh renderer. Let's lock that, add another tab in here, switch to scene view just so that we can see. Then in here, let's find our correct item. should be in here, samurai body. Then we have the torso. It should be showing in here. There it is. And it should show, we should assign the material, which we can again take it from here, Fantasy Heroes. Okay, there we go. So there we have our hero. Let's lock this one and enable this one. So we now just need to find the correct scale for the icon. The ortho size, I think I'm just going to leave it at 4. So let's change this to 4. Then let's just move it around and place it where we feel it's correct. Obviously there's a little bit of skin over there, but we can't do much about that. And what? Apparently for some reason it doesn't scale down. Oh, we had Pro Grids turned on. So this guy needs to fit in here. That's beautiful. We can increase the size a little bit. Perfect. I think that's actually perfect. So let's copy the values. We want icon position to be this one. Obviously you will have to find yours. And then scale is this one. Save that. We forgot to remove it. Save that. Okay. Unlock that. And put it, well, we can just close this one. Let's hit play, and now we should get the icon at least for our object. There it is. We do have two of them, so we probably need to fix that as well. And of course they also, we can assign it on every slot we have, so that needs to have its own fix as well. That's actually really perfect, however. And the cool thing with this is that I can basically just go and duplicate my object. Let's call this body 1 first of all, and let's call this body 2. And because it's the same skinned mesh renderer, the same material as well, I can basically just replace this and it will look correct with the icon. So I don't have to find the icon coordinates again. Well, I thought it would look correct, but we changed the name, so that means on our profile we need to change this to body 1. There we go. There's our polygon, and we can change that to body 2. Hit play, and we will get the new body as well. Okay, they are sort of similar, but they are actually different objects. Awesome. So let's fix now why we're not loading them, which means, well, this is really easy. We just need to know the type of cloth item we are using, and we're going to be assigning that in the correct place. For example, let's just go on to here, is left, is right. We will do runtime item or public runtime item for helmet, body, legs, and gloves I think there's no, I don't remember if there's different types of gloves or helmets or whatever, but we'll see. So we'll do public void assign cloth item, random item, the item, and we can basically just do switch item dot item dot item type. Yeah, we need to cast this as a cloth item, so that will be cloth item I dot cloth type, and let's write that again, I dot cloth type. Oh yeah, that's a switch. Okay, here's one thing we could do on our resources manager. We need a reference to the item types, or yeah, I don't want to be doing a for loop every time, so whatever, let's just use that, and we will use public cloth item type, helmet type, body type, leg type, and glove type. Gloves is plural. So if I equals, if I dot type cloth type equals resources dot settings resources settings dot resources manager dot helmet type, then copy that 4 times and do else if then we have body type, helmet type, and leg type, and gloves type. So with all of that, then helmet equals I helmet equals item actually. Then this will be body, legs, and gloves, depending on the type we have. So assign cloth type, then when we update the random item on list consumable, let's see, get all items, get all weapons, get all. Where were we? This is for consumables. Update from profile. So down here, we're going to assume that this is the clothes we're wearing. Clothing, starting cloth, add that. Okay. Then assign cloth item to that correct position. So when we now open the navigate manager, or was it inventor manager? Yeah, we're going to get a new load items on slot for the equipment, but equipment is a little bit differently. So let's say equipment dot slots. Do we have all slots? We don't have the slots we create. Load item on slots. We do have the created objects though. So we can do for each created object, for each game object, go in created objects in equipment dot created objects, then we'll be doing some magic over here. So if you remember, we have the UI slots. Let's see. We have our script called UI slot. So I'm going to derive from that. I'm going to make this equipment UI slot and open it. Open that one. Delete this and let's derive from sharp accent. Okay, then we have this UI slot. So basically all I need for this one is to have a cloth item type, cloth type. Okay, then back to the UI inventory manager, we're going to get the equipment UI slot EUI, get component children equipment UI slot. Then we're going to be searching for, well, let's store our vendor manager. And we will do, this needs to be inventory, this needs to be inventory, and this needs to be inventory. Inside our inventory manager, then we need to create the calls that it will return as this. So let's copy this entire method where we will do get cloth item from the cloth type. Cloth type, that will be cloth item type. Oops. Cloth item type, this needs to be removed. Then we'll write this in a bit. We just need to get the runtime item. So here we will say cloth type return helmet, cloth type return body, return legs, return gloves, otherwise come on, return null. Okay, so close that. And here we will do runtime item, inventory, get cloth item from the equipment slot dot UI inventory. Let's see, store it, no, cloth type. Okay, then all we need to do, since this is a UI slot, we can just say load item dot item ID. Do we have load item? We're only using the load item with the ID. We could technically do this public void load item runtime item. We could do this, okay, but one thing that we should be checking previously is, first of all, if ID is null, well, if runtime item is null, else we're going to do unload item, and in this case as well we're going to say, well actually no, we don't need to do this over here, we can just write this in here. So we use it in both cases, then that means over here we can just use this, the random item, without that. So this will also load the items. We do need a bit of a setup, however. So let's go on to, first of all, we need to create on our resources manager, we need to assign the cloth types. So we have helmet, we have legs, we have shirt, yeah, and this needs to be shirt, this needs to be legs, and this needs to be arms. You get this, you can rename them, whatever. Then we need to go onto our canvas, onto our inventory, open that, main panel, on our equipment, item slots. We need to change this, instead of UE slot, we need to make them, let's unpack it first of all. Oh, yeah, I did. Well, let's unpack it, doesn't matter, we'll fix it again. So we need to remove the UE slot, and we're going to add the equipment slot. First one then is going to be the, actually what's this? That's the icon. That's the background image. The icon hook is this. The cloth type, we need to assign this as helmet. Stored ID, okay, is left, okay, don't override invent. Then on select, on deselect, and on this navigate manager. I think we actually changed that to slot buttons. Oh yeah, we override this on start, yeah, I remember now. So slot button. So this will be cloth type, stored ID, highlighted. So on deselect, and on select. So that is the first one. Let's duplicate this for the search. And change that to shirt. Then change that to legs. No icon, should be legs. Okay, and this needs to be set to legs. And then this should be just set to gloves. Or to arms. So, okay, I think that's all we need to do. Let's close that and let's test this. Oh yeah, we also forgot to do one thing. We need to load the equipment slot. We need to do on the equipment, we need to add the load items on slots. And I'm basically going to lock this, and I'm going to drop the new buttons we created. Just going to drag and drop them in here. Okay, unlock that, save, and let's hit play. Okay, then hit play. Let's see what the error is. For each game object in equipment, oh. Yeah, okay, the problem is that this one actually will override this on start, I believe. let's see, created objects. I don't think we're calling. Are we calling it? Oh no, we missed. Yeah, okay. We forgot to just drag and drop this in here. Perfect. And there we go. We now have this, but I think we are having a Stack Overflow. What's that for? Navigation button 26. On select. Oh, yeah. This needs to be on select, on deselect. This just calls it back again. So what do we have for that? UI slot on select, on deselect. Navigation, oh, that's the wrong one. We need the equipment slot on select, and we need this equipment slot on deselect. The equipment slot on deselect, so that means we need to fix this on the other ones as well. So on deselect and on select. On deselect, then equipment slot on select, and equipment slot on deselect. Perfect. That's it. Then let's go and select all of that. Okay, now the other problem is that when we're loading the items, you can see that we have it to just select to just select the items. So let's open up the equipment slots. It just selects the, oh yeah, we have it as weapon items, that's why. Let's change this to equipment. Then for equipment we actually need to do a little bit more work here, so that will be from down here. Let's select item type, store slot, item type. So if this is the equipment, we need to cast the UI slot as the equipment UI slot, equipment UI slot, or EQ, equipment UI slot from the UI slot. Actually, the store slot. No, that's the wrong one. Replace the item on store. Let's replace the item on store. We want to open. So we want the on apply, update icon hook, on apply on player profile. Yeah, here we are. Open select item dialog. We want this one. So case equipment, you're actually going to be using equipment slot, UI slot, equipment slot, the oh, we don't get, it's a store slot. So from that equipment slot we can get, we don't want to be getting all cloth anymore. We just want to be getting cloth of type. So that will be get all cloth of type, cloth type, then if it's a cloth item, we're going to be casting that as a cloth. So if cloth item dot let's make a Frankenstein over here. Dot cloth type equals cloth type, or type we have above, then add this onto our results. Perfect. So yeah, we need to no, that's correct. That's correct on the first try. So change this to get all cloth of type, and we get a cloth type from the equipment slot. Let's put this below. Okay, so now it will only load the correct clothes we have. Yeah, okay. Let's check this now. Let's hit play. Then over here we're only getting cloth items of body. We don't get anything here. We don't get anything here. We don't get anything here. Let's see. Yeah, we still have the same issue where we are using, where if there is no, yeah, like if we press play and there's nothing selected, we assign the last item, but we'll fix that later. I don't really care for that. So well, we kind of need to have a second item that's going to be one of the bodies. So let's say player profile, and that's consumable. And okay, we need to have an entirely new, well, basically we need to just bring back this one. Let's call it carrying items, and we don't need this to be a list, but whatever. Carrying items. So on the, when we load back our player on our inventory, let's see, this is the init. And well, so here's the thing, the item savables are what we need, but I don't remember where we're getting them. We're getting this from the profile save, where this is getting from. I thought that we were getting this from here. Let's say new profile save, starting clothes, consumables, saved item, item savables, random item savable. So we basically need to do something with this. So for each string in carrying items ID, we're going to create item, random item savable, where we'll do new random item savable I dot base item ID, that will be the ID, I dot instance ID can just be whatever, can just be, let's do integer index, and it will start like 10 from 10,000, or it will start from minus 10,000, or minus 100, because you cannot, with the instance ID you create, you cannot go from minus. So we will be doing instance ID index minus minus, and index of course to string, then I don't base item ID, durability, whatever. Then we're going to add that on save starting saved items, item savables dot add I. So technically now we should be getting all the item savables from the carrying items, hopefully. So let's say on our carrying items we use body1 as well, and let's also use a second great sword just for fun. Okay, then down here I guess we're not getting them. And yeah, we're not doing something with the carrying items, but I think we should be I think we just forgot to add them inside all our inside our random dictionary. So let's see. No, we do add them. So we do get the item savables. Let's put a backlog in here just to make sure that we do get this. Let's hit play. Well, we forgot to use the name. We just get the name of the variable, but whatever, this is it. You get the item savable too. Maybe that was our own fault. Let's see, body1 is cert and cert. Okay, that wasn't our own fault. So we do add them inside here. Well, let's put a breakpoint. I don't know. We need to check this. And select Unity instance. Let me close the other Unity. That's that. Minimize. Let's hit play. And let's see what values we get into there. After it compiles, of course, if you want to compile. Okay, here we are. So save item savables. We have the great sword. What? Why is this? Aha, that's not the correct ones. Then these item savables are used on something else, I guess. So we might be override. Yeah, here we are. That's why we're getting this, I believe, because we have hard-coded values. We're not doing the same thing for yeah, okay. As you see, we have hard-coded these values, but I think we're coming in here But if that was the case, then this will have been nullified. Save that. Let's see. Let's compile again. We need to check for the debug log. I don't remember. This mostly has to do with the setup we have with our profiles, with our saves and whatnot. And here it is. Yeah, it's coming from there. So we need to force. But how did this work then? That's weird. I think that's why we had to start it. Yeah, that's why we had to samurai bodies. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say I'm just going to say on settings at the start, I'm going to do public bool load from player profile. Just set that to true so we don't have to tick it as well. Then if settings dot resources manager dot load from pp from player profile, that just looks for the save file. Okay, else then save, that will be settings resource manager settings player profile dot get saveable profile. So that will take all the values we get from here and it will turn them into the profile. However, we still need to do something with our right hand and our left hand. That's the catch then. So ignore that. Let's say our save that will be there. Right hand instance IDs, new string, starting clothes, backlog, and item savable, great sword. I'm just going to copy this as well. Actually, no. We can just do ID, that sets the instance IDs. I don't think we need this. Actually, you know what? Since we only want one simple thing, oh yeah, now I know I understand it. So let's remove that, and we're going to say save equals null if global setting, if settings no. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do exactly the same thing as we had before. Okay, then I'm going to basically copy everything I don't understand, like this. Right hand instance of this. Okay, instance index 1000, then item savable, player profile. I think we don't need to add this, but we can do the same thing in carrying items. We can just add all the items, even the great sword and stuff like that. So right hand instance IDs, great sword for customer. Okay, let's try this. Okay, we just don't have the swords right now, but we can just equip it. But here we are, and you can see that we have the two bodies. We don't change, however, the clothes we're using. We need to make it that, but yeah, that just works fine. Perfect. Now we get the inventory. So now the starting items, let's see, I think we're using somewhere, let's say right hand instance ID. This is at 0. Okay, save the profile, okay, whatever. Then right hand instance ID. Then let's say what we're doing with this. Save profile, check profile, save. Controller, init inventory, profile save and player profile. Init, we have our save file, instance ID, left hook, right hook. Profile, consumables. That's for the item saveables. We have our workbook holder, item, item savable, profile item. Date reference from profile. I think it's this one. I think inside init cloth manager init, we do a load list of all items and we say load item. Cloth item, load cloth item on hook, okay. Load item, get cloth hook, load cloth hook, and it does that. We probably need to use one of these. Well, actually, we just need to use the load item from on the cloth manager. So let's fix that on the UI inventory manager. Where actually not on the UI inventory manager, on the navigate manager. When we say replace the item, store slot, in the case of the equipment, we still need to find the store slot. We need to say player controller, inventory manager, cloth. We don't have the cloth manager enabled. Let's do that. Come on. The inventory manager where starting clothes, create item instance, starting clothes, then we create this starting instance. All item dictionary, starting clothes, it's the sign cloth item. I think that's what we need to be doing. So that just saves that. Well, the first one is the assign, of course, but the second one should be, that's the consumables, update the reference profile on the controller init cloth. Okay, so we just need to do this from the controller. Is the cloth manager, it's not public, let's make it public. So back to the navigate manager. First of all, player controller dot control cloth manager dot load item. That cloth item now that's kind of a problem. First of all, we need to find the runtime item. Okay, where will we get that? From the inventory manager. Let's save the inventory manager as we did before. Inventory manager get item, or yeah, we're doing this via settings actually. Resource manager get item or get instance. Come on. Resource manager that gets the item instance. We want a way, how do we get? Clear, update. We don't have a way we're getting. Is that what you're saying? Let's see. We need to have a try get value. Okay. Get random item from ID. So that will be indeed inventory manager. Get random item from ID. The ID is the store slot dot stored ID. Then you have your random item. Then you have to say cloth item. Random item dot item. And that should load, that should probably load this. But we need to check first if random item is cloth item, otherwise we're going to get an error. We don't need this, and then we need just, oops, we do need that. Yeah, we don't need that. We just need to say assign cloth item, random item, and it will take care of the rest. So that's how we can also replicate, can also change items. I think we're using, however, yeah, I have no idea why we're getting two items. So we get item instance from item saveables. We get an item instance from the consumables holder. Okay, we get from starting close, and we get here it is. This happens twice, so we need to remove this one. That's why we were getting two types of items. We were adding this twice. We only want this to add it if there is a random item to add. Awesome. So I think with this we should be fine. Okay, let's set the starting weapon. This changes this. Okay, it doesn't update this, however, so why is that? Random item is not a cloth item. What? runtime item, instance ID. This could be adding a null item, first of all. So that should be the case. And that shouldn't really be the case either. So that should be the case. This is mostly for catching the errors. I think we should just do it like this then. You have your item is cloth item. So we say create item instance. Item instance, item is not null. You get the item is not null, you add that, and you pass that, okay. Let's hit play. Well, let's hit play. And there we go. We can now also change the cloth we're wearing. Perfect. And of course that it will work the same for the legs. It won't work the same for the arms because you have two objects to take into account. We'll have to find a solution to that, but of course that's a problem for another day. But yeah, we now have a fully working inventory pretty much. We should find how we started with the weapon, or why we're not starting with those weapons as well. Let's see, we have started clothes, we have the carrying items, we have the great sword. Let's try putting great sword first and then body 1, and let's also add like firecaster as well into this. Let's see how it will handle all that. Yeah, you're not placing the right hand item. Okay, let's take a look once more. Data references per profile. You have your standard clothes, you have your right hand. Yeah, we want the right hand instance IDs, so that will be yeah, I know what it is. Let's say player profile, get save a profile. We basically need to find the instance ID that the great sword spawns with, and in that case, if it's the first one, instance ID will be -100. So if I say -100 here, it will work. Well, technically it will work. What will actually happen, that's another story, but that's also something we're going to see in a later video. If it doesn't, because we are over an hour. But yeah, you can see that it does work, and indeed it worked beautifully. Press that. Let's change the cloth. We probably need to make them a little bit smaller. Yeah, not that good at pairing. Perfect. That's it for this part then. As always, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and if you like to see more stuff, more videos, more series, more of everything, see this done into a complete game at some point in the future, unknown to man, then consider supporting my Patreon so we can keep making and keep fixing all these little problems we get every now and then. So that's it for this part. I'll see you next time.